This is the last episode that we will have with Mr. Skidoosh. It was really a lot of fun talking to him. It was a lot of fun getting to really just see him. I think until you actually get to see his smile in person, or at least on video, face to face, I don't know. He's just got an infectious personality. It's a lot of fun. This one we just kind of shoot the breeze. We talk a little bit about his origin story, then we just go rambling off into the woods. It's actually really fun. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
You've only been flying a few months. I mean, you're just barely good enough for me to even bother to have you on my show. I mean, how long have you been flying?
Who the hell?
Who the hell
First
knows
comments
who you are?
Who the hell is this guy?
Skidoosh? What? Isn't that the panda? So how'd you get into this? How long have you been flying? Like, what's your origin?
I started flying line of sight around 2014 through 2015-ish. What happened was I came here to China in 2013. And back then I didn't know direction, anything like that. And so just getting my orientation, I would just hop on my motorcycle and just ride, and just check things out. Because I'm from South Florida, I'm now in a city of 14 million with subways and bullet trains and people everywhere. And it's just like, what? Wow. Just culture shock across the board. So anyway, I went to this temple and I'm climbed up in this old Buddha temple and I'm sitting up there and looking over the lake and this cool view. And I see this drone come up and it's like circling the temple and he's like filming the temple. And I look down there and I see the guy with the controller and I'm like, I've heard about these things. That is freaking cool as hell. I'm like, I need to find out, I need to get into this because at the time I was only here on a 1-year contract. So my idea was to just have a filming platform to take pictures of everything I possibly could while I was here so that when I went back, I had all this and I knew absolutely nothing. This was a Phantom that the guy was flying. I had no idea, no clue, So I'm walking downtown one day and this kid's flying this, what looked like a similar drone outside the shop, back and forth across the street. And I'm like, oh, cool, there's one of them drones. So I go in and buy one and it was like $50 and it was a SEMA X5.
It was going to be a SEMA. I knew you were going to say SEMA. I'm like, it's either Hubson or SEMA. That is the gateway drug to FPV.
Absolutely.
Every freaking time. Everybody's like, oh, I got this drone. It was white. It's called a SEMA. Or I had this drone. It was black. It was called a Hubson. It's
pinhole camera.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
I flew the thing up and, now I left one of the videos way back on my channel just because it's so ridiculous. Like first time I didn't know anything about editing. It was my first time trying to edit a video, all this stuff that we learned along the way. But I thought it was like the greatest thing ever. Now I look back at those pictures in that film and I'm just like, oh my God, how can anybody even look at that? I'm like hovering over the city and it's just like the video I posted.
Video, that's what I was thinking about.
That's a SEMA.
Yeah. Oh my God, are you serious?
Learning how to fly the SEMA.
Oh, that's terrible.
I'm in China, right? So I get this drone and get it home and open it up. Mm-hmm. All the instructions are in Chinese. So, I'm fairly intelligent guy. So I figured out how to put the batteries in it and turn the controller on. It's pre-bound and everything. So I didn't know anything about binding or nothing like that. This is a piece of cake. I saw the guy fly it around the temple. Little did I know he's got, Phantom with GPS hold and, the whole thing. So I take it out in front of my complex and I freaking hit the throttle and I don't know which way the son of a bitch is going and I just watched it go off into the sunset. I'm hitting the stakes. It's going this way. It's going that way. I'm like, come back. Next day I went to the store. I bought another one.
Right.
Now I'm gonna figure this thing out. We're gonna take this a little slower this time. So I got out there and got it hovering and whatever and started. and just still couldn't quite. So I went through 4 of those before one went in the canal.
Right.
One is like on top. One got hit by the train or something. I don't even know. So I said, all right, let me see if I can find something on YouTube about this. So I punched it in. I think I found the first one I found was like Quadcopter 101. And then I found, flight test and stuff like that. The first FPV drone I bought was a Vortex 250 because, like I said, I was a 285, and I still have it. Let me grab it real quick. I still have it just to remind me because I was scared about flashing firmware and whatever. And this thing, it had the Wizard. This was like the first one that came out with like the Wizard, and I saw Bixler put it on the bench and do everything in his goggles on the FPV screen to get it up in the air and going. And I'm like, that's for me. I don't have to touch the computer. This had like memory ESCs in it, so you spin it one way and then it would remember which way the motor spun.
Gosh, yeah.
Like the worst piece of crap ever freaking made, And my idea at that time was I was still not into the FPV thing. I wanted to put a gimbal on here just to be able to film, right? So it has the folding arms. So I'm like, okay, that is freaking awesome. I can just fold it up with the gimbal and stick it in my backpack, right? But what happens is when you crash with the folding arm, guess where that spinning prop goes? It chops up everything, battery, leads, receiver, everything that's on top of the drone.
It just chops everything to pieces.
Chops everything to pieces.
Yep.
So anyway, I was watching a flight test video with and Bixler and I think Alex were in Sarasota, Florida with Sharpoo.
Okay.
And I think the name of the video was Fly Like Sharpoo. And I'm watching them fly around this park, and I'm like, that's Gillespie Park. That's 1 block away from where I live. Yeah. So I started looking into it, and then I found out that Get FPV was on the next street over. So long story short, when I flew home that Christmas, I walked in to Get FPV. It was just a couple guys that worked there back then. Tim ran the place, and I said hi to Tim, and there was a guy named Kevin that was like the main guy there. I think it's before Andy and everybody was even. It was in a little building at the back of the road. Now they have the whole new thing. Anyway, I went in there and I bought that Vortex, and I bought a pair of head plays and a Tyrannus, and I was off. And that's how it all started, man. And that thing has the old immersion RC camera on it that you can barely see out of with like a 3.1 lens. I knew absolutely nothing. And back then we didn't have all the groups and stuff that we have now. You learned everything off RC forums and stuff like that. And I'm in China, so there's like not even really anybody I could ask about these things. So it was difficult and challenging for me to get off. Everybody in the groups back then would suggest that you learn how to fly line of sight first in acro. Yeah.
That's a good way to break everything.
Repeatedly. I went through that stage.
I'm like, I
was like, okay, this isn't for me.
It's not bad to learn how to fly line of sight, and sometimes I still practice it, but it's like, don't learn in acro if you're flying line of sight, because that's a good way to break everything. Like you're better off. You're
real quick. You're just going to knife edge right into the ground instantly.
I mean, you're better off flying acro and FPV to begin with, as opposed to self-level.
A lot of people suggest that too, but I'm also, whatever you're comfortable with, because you know what, if you go up in angle mode or whatever, and you can't afford a new set of props, for your first 15 flights, whatever your case may be, adapt to that. You know what I mean? Because I would say people should learn in acro, but now we have sims. Back then we didn't have sims, so you can get a feel for it. I remember when Freerider first came out, and they sent me like the first version of it. Yeah, it was a sim, but my God, it didn't even come close to what real life flying was like. It was like,
I mean, it's just 100. Yeah, yeah.
And now, like, Velocidrone is just, I mean, you can set that thing. I plug my goggles into the computer and practice my racing on Velocidrone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's how it happened. And then I started looking for, we have what's equal to, like, our Amazon over there, what's called Taobao over here. So I was looking into building, after I figured out what a piece of freaking crap this thing was. And then I had a problem with, like, the flight controller, and it's proprietary because it's all, this whole bottom board is all the electronics. And they wanted like $100 for the proprietary board that went in here. I think it was like Clean Flight 1.0 or something that,
Yeah.
And the massive freaking video transmitter. Anyway, so I'm looking for drone parts. All right, I'm going to build my own. I'm going to build one, and found a Taobao shop I was going to order some parts from, and found out that it was in my city. So I contacted the guy, and he spoke English. So I ended up going to his shop, and he showed me how, you need these parts. I think my first one was a Sharpoo 210 clone with DYS 2204 motors. It was before the 2205s were even out, with a Naze 32.
Yeah. Was it the Rev 5 or was it before then?
The what?
Was it the Rev 5? Rev 5, okay. Okay, yeah.
I'm not even sure, to tell you the truth. But it wasn't long there. It was only a few months thereafter that Dominic came out with the SP3.
Yep.
And then Beta Flight started coming, and everything started progressing pretty quickly at that point. It was right around 2016. So anyway, yeah, that guy kind of took me under his wing and taught me a lot. And he actually had a race team together. So I started going out to the field and practicing with them on racing and stuff like that. And he started giving me pointers on racing. That's where I found my dog, and that was it from there. It just took off from there. I got hooked up with the community, flew home, got hooked up with the Riot guys when they came over here to race, and, then met Trappy. I met Trappy 3 or 4 years ago at a race in Shanghai. It was the first time anybody had seen Ming Chen fly. He was like 10 years old or 11 years old.
Yeah.
And he came out there, just smoked everybody. And everybody that then had moved to the F3 boards, and he was still flying a Naze.
Oh, my God. Are you serious?
Yeah. He came out there and schooled everybody because everybody was all hyped on, you can't race with a Naze. And Ming Chen Kim came out there. I mean, he was just like a little kid, man. And just ripped everybody to pieces. So I've known Ming Chen for 3 or 4 years also. Young Rock. Like I said, HJ's a real good friend of mine. All them guys.
Steele, when I interviewed him, he was talking about how he was kind of pissed off when they went to the Dubai event because they had the freestyle event, and Steele had an amazing run. Min Chan lost video
and flew line of sight.
Ripped his goggles off and flew line of sight and won.
Him and Young Rock have been flying collective pitch helicopters since they were like 4 years old. I think Minchin started when he was 4 because his dad was into it, and Young Rock started when he was like 6. They were like champion collective pitch helicopter pilots before they got into FPV. So,
yeah.
I go to races with Minchin, and he'll be over there, warming up with his quad, and he's just whoop, 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 line of sight, just with it right in front of him. And I'm like, oh yeah, that would be right in my face. I'd be getting stitches.
Right, or somebody. I'd be dead. Yeah, somebody's face would be cut to pieces because I'm like, when I do line of sight, it's like blip, roll, okay. All right, we're good. Okay, another blip, roll. Okay, good.
I can float it out there. I can float it out there and do a flip and do a couple rainbows and back it back into myself.
Oh, I can't even do that.
That's about the end of my game.
Yeah.
Jeff Orta's really good at line of sight.
He did collective pitch too.
Yeah, exactly. Another great guy, man. Cool guy to be around. Just a ton of fun, you know. All the guys, man. It's just like you said, it just crosses borders. I mean, last time we were in Ningbo, the one I participated in, you know, Thomas and Paul were there, BMS Webb. What a great couple guys they are, man. Paul and Tom are just freaking awesome people. The whole Korean crew, you know, HJ, Minchin, Young Rock, Min Jae. They have a girl that flies with them that's just a smoking badass pilot. You know, all the guys from Taiwan. There's Stephanie Chow and Alex that come over from Taiwan and fly with us a lot. You know, just people from everywhere. Hong Kong, you know, Kim Tang and Kung Kai, Ronnie Chow. Those are all the guys on the China Dragons team for DC. You know, great guys. They're all good friends of mine. And like, you know, none of us are like, oh, you know, your president sucks and screw your religion, or, you know, none of that is
right.
You know what I mean? It's just,
right.
It's not even on the table. We're just there to camaraderie, cheer each other on, have fun. You know, Ronnie Chow is an excellent pilot, you know, really great pilot, but he'll look over at me and go, man, you're kicking ass. Keep, you know, not like, haha, I beat you, you know, type stuff. It's just a different, it's not like when I was drag racing motorcycles. And, you know, if you beat somebody, you browbeat them afterwards. You know, I told you, that slow piece of crap. What?
It's just, yeah. I mean, so what kind of? I mean, what's your preferred flying style now? Do you I mean, I've seen you do freestyle. Okay.
Absolutely. I love flying freestyle. I love the artistic view to it. You know, my whole thing is just a whole different view of, don't get me wrong, I love racing too, but racing is, if you want to do racing for real and not just be knocked out in the first round and like make it a couple rounds, it's hard. It is freaking work and difficult. You can't just fly and if you hit a tree, go pick your drone up and go home and fix it. You know, you need to build 4 or 5 drones. You need to be committed. You got to have your batteries ready. You need to go out and set up gates. You need to practice. You know, it's hats off to those guys that are, you know, top pilots, because it's a lot of freaking work.
Yep.
A lot of work. And you'll put in, you know, you go out and fly 20, 30, 60 packs a day to practice, and you show up at an event and you may only fly 1 battery and crash out. You know, it's heartbreaking at that point. Or you may fly 2 or 3, but even if you make it to, you know, the finals, you may sit there all day and only fly 3 batteries. You know, it's a whole different discipline. You know, you got to hold that line, you know, the whole way through. You got to be disciplined, and it's a whole. But I recommend anybody that wants to get better at freestyle, go out and set up a couple gates in your yard and just fly through the gates and get that discipline and get that feel of what it's like to hit a gap consistently. And it's going to change your game when you go out and freestyle, because you're going to have so much confidence to go through that tree gap or dive that, you know, hole in the bando or whatever, you know what I mean? But freestyle, like I have my little crew here, Paulo and Fahua and my guy Mao. We're all one of them's from France, one of them's from, a couple of them from Italy. I got my buddy Lance Fung that's from Hong Kong, and I'm the American, you know? So it's just a whole mixed bag of us. And you see it in a lot of my videos. Yeah, exactly. A bunch of expats. They're in a lot of my videos on my YouTube channel. They have their own YouTube channel and are good pilots in their own right. But, I mean, we just go out and have an absolute ball. You know, it doesn't matter. We go to the Bando power plant, you know, Bando Islands here in my city. We go dive buildings. We meet in Hangzhou down in his city, you know, all different cultures. And we just laugh and have a good time and burn pack after pack and break stuff. And it's just a freaking hoot, man. And it's, you know, which is kind of the same racing, but then you get in that mindset, like, and nothing against like Stu, right?
Yeah.
He gives like advice on racing, but the guy's never been in a race. I can tell you right now,
right?
No matter how good you think you are in that field down the street, it's a whole different ballgame when you're standing up on that stage competing. It is a whole different show. Your fingers will start shaking, your knees will start quivering, you know, your face is up on the big screen at the thing, you know, all the other pilots are watching to see what you're doing. You know, it's a whole different ball game. But anywho, Freestyle, you just let it go, you know?
I mean, that's obviously what I prefer. I think I've competed in one race, but we don't currently have a very active racing scene around here. But if there people are talking about kicking it back off again, and if they do, then I probably will go out with my freestyle quads and just try to,
absolutely
punch around the track.
And like I said, even if you just set up like a couple gates or a couple mock gates or just something, a track type thing in your yard, and just learn to fly it consistently. What's going to happen with your freestyle is you instead of having vision of that one object, because you have to fly to the next object on discipline, your depth perception in your flights is going to get a lot better. You're going to come past that tree and do your trick at that tree, but you're already going to know what you want to do at the next tree because you have that discipline of flying from gate to gate. So you know where your quad's going to go to hit the next spot. You know what I mean? So you do your power loop over this tree, and you know you're going to split S the next tree, and your mind starts going in that direction. And that's where you start getting the flow, not just doing the singular trick and then thinking, what am I going to do next?
Right. And it's interesting. You talk about that. There was one moment where all that started to click for me, which I mean, like I said, I'm not anything special, but I went out after interviewing Vic, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to fly. Like, I'm going to have fun. And I had,
Such a great
he is a good guy. I had one line, I don't know, I can't remember. I dove a tree, and I was coming back down, and I bounced over myself and yawed backwards or something, and then flipped it over back. And I was like, I remember looking at that in the video, and it was just like something clicked. It was like, oh, if I just think ahead one move, it all just makes so much more sense. Whereas before, I'd do a yaw spin through a tree gap, right? And then I'd be like, okay, what am I going to do next? And now all of a sudden I'm walking into spots and I'm planning out, well, okay, I'm going to dive this, and then I'm going to hit this gap over here, and then I can do this in the field. And, all of a sudden it's opened up a whole other level that I didn't even know was in here, right? I always just thought I'd be that one trick guy that just, would hit the one trick and then try to figure out what he's going to do next. And now all of a sudden it's like, okay, I may not be the best pilot, but I'm starting to chain things. And that's super fun.
That's when it gets super fun, because what happens, I think, I'm a firm believer that if you set up a couple of gates or whatever, it helps progress that quicker because it's forcing you to look ahead. So when I'm diving that building, I'm already looking over here at the next thing I want to go through. And as I'm coming up to that, I'm not looking at that thing. I'm looking at and it just becomes, your confidence goes up into what, no matter what situation I'm in, I'll be able to fly through it without crashing. And your crashes become lighter because you see them coming and you don't break as much stuff. You know what I mean? But you get that vision. I explain it to people that I'm teaching. It's like driving a car. When you first learn how to drive a car, you're thinking about the throttle, the gas, the steering wheel. You're looking at the line on the road to make sure you stay between the lines. Now when you drive a car, you're in the lane. You're just looking down the road. Is the light green? Is there somebody pulling out in front of me? Your car's in the lane. You don't have to do all that. You don't have to think about the brake, the gas, where's the pedal, where's the blinker. It just happens. Because the truth is, we cannot multitask. Human brain cannot do more than one thing at once, but we can stack it. We can make things an automatic reflex. And that's where, a guy hit me up the other day, great guy. I said, hey, will you take a look at my video? I'm like, bro, you're flying freaking awesome. The only thing you need to do is spend some time on the sticks. You get comfortable.
Yeah.
Your flying's great. It just takes, you'll get to a point where it just comes. You just throw your quad up in a spot and you see everything. And you're like, oh, yeah.
Yep.
You don't even really know that you're going to split S that or do a back roll through that. It just happens as you're going.
Yeah. I mean, I've literally been flying the same spot for 4 years now. And
that's also a key, man.
Only in the past 2 months have I started to realize what's there. And realize what a great little spot it is and the things that I can do there. And now I'm going to a slightly different place. And, You know, I walk out into that, and it's
it.
like, okay, I can do this and this and this and this, and there's this epic, you know. Anyways, it's
That's
just
where you're getting it right there, Mikey.
Yep.
That's when it starts to click. You see all the different things in a same
4 years.
you know. But flying a consistent spot is also very important for learning stuff because you know where everything is. You know, fly a consistent spot. You know, then go out when you have that confidence and start busting out new spots and take it easy. Anybody, if you go to a new spot, do a scout flight.
Oh yeah.
You know, feel out your video, feel out your radio, see what's around you. You know, do a couple lines here and there. Can I make it through that? You know, take it easy. You don't have to go out there and freaking Vic landing it on your first.
Yeah, right.
I love Vic. Vic is one of the few pilots that can get away with only posting flight videos without anything around.
Yes,
you know,
that is 100% true.
That is an art form for sure. Yeah. Schizo's another one that can pull that off.
Yeah.
You know, there's very few. I love Steele to death. I don't want to say anything bad about him. Him and I are friends. You know, I rode him around in the back of my motorcycle, but his flying style is a bit much for me. It's a little much involved.
I talked about that with Vic, and you know, I kind of baited him a little bit, joking around. I was like, "Well, who's better, you or Steele?" And he totally did not like that question. And I actually told him after the interview, I was like, "Look, I was not trying to start drama there. I was actually trying to go into this line of questioning. I'm really sorry about that."
Right.
But, you know, that was one of the things we talked about was, you know, I feel like a lot of times, I mean, Steele is unbelievably good.
Absolutely. But no question.
Sometimes he flies and I'm just like, where the hell are we? Right?
That's it. That's what I was going to say. It's like when I go to a spot, you know, I can do 15 backflips back to back in a Rubik's Cube. But my idea, and this is just my style, you know, everybody has their own. I want to bring an artistic view of that spot. I want them to see that building, that sculpture, that water, that can, you know, whatever the case may be. Not only that, but a lot of people get motion sick. You know, we forget that as pilots sometimes. And if you got too much of that going on in your video, some people can't watch it.
My wife cannot watch anything I do. She can't watch a bit. She can
watch a little bit, but
yeah. But Vic and I, when we were talking, he was like, yeah, he's like, you know, I used to do the really, you know, extreme flippy floppies. And he was like, then I started pacing things. And he said there's almost like an internal timer that goes off in his head for when the next trick is supposed to happen. And, you know, not that, and like you said, I don't want to knock Steele. I mean, he's amazing. But I know that when Vic flies, it's like, okay, I know where I am. And when Steele flies, I think only Steele knows where he is. Sometimes, right? It's amazing. Yeah, go ahead.
You're good. Just a few more minutes.
Yeah, we can wrap it up.
No, it's all good. She's just wanting to cook lunch.
Okay. Anyways,
that's why, like, the smooth lines, I think, make a lot better video. Like I love Tommy's stuff because he pulls the smooth lines. Drew's stuff, he pulls the stingy, you know. And Steele does it too, but Steele, you know, Steele's Steele. That's his style. Yeah. Good for him. You know.
So, all right, man. Well, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. If let's just say people want to come right along for your fun, where can they find you?
Obviously, Facebook, David Skidoosh Andrews. My YouTube channel. I've never had FPV behind any of my names since the beginning, and I'm not growing. I'm not growing a beard either. Nothing against beards. I just don't like them. Seems to be cool in this hobby. You got to grow a beard and then put FPV behind your name.
Yeah, right? I only grew the beard. I never put the FPV behind it.
So my YouTube channel is just plain Skidoosh, and it's spelled S-K-I.
Okay.
Not if you put S-K-A, you get the Kung Fu Panda in there.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then Instagram is also Skidoosh67.
Okay.
And real quick, I just want to put this out there because everybody thinks that I'm in love with pandas, and that's why I picked the Skidoosh name. which is nothing could be further from the truth. Well, I like pandas. There's nothing wrong with pandas. You know, save the pandas, whatever. That's great. Yeah. Pandas are cool. I've been to the panda ranch, seen the baby pandas, but it came from the kung fu, the kung fu mushy finger hold that he does.
Oh yeah. Is that how
when he does his defense is skadoosh.
Yeah.
And my son and I, when that movie came out, had went and seen the movie.
Yeah.
And we were running around in the grocery store and whatever. And if you could get a clean skadoosh, you had to freeze for like 10 seconds, wherever you were, whatever was going on.
Yeah.
And at the time is when I was looking for a new name for my YouTube channel. And my son was like, and my wife were like, why don't you just use skadoosh?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Nice. Skadoosh.
I like it. Very good. So skadoosh, not FPV. Yeah.
Like
ladies and gentlemen, you have been on the Michael Rollins Show because we actually couldn't come up with a better name. And you have been with David Skidoosh Andrews, and I appreciate y'all checking in. We'll see y'all soon. Bye.
And that is it. I would like to thank Mr. Skidoosh for coming on the show. It was great to have him. For those of you that are not aware, like I said, he's in the middle of the coronavirus epidemic right now in China. As I record this, it is currently moving into the US and other states. So, you know, send good thoughts, vibes, prayers, whatever you're going to do his way and really to the rest of the world. So, hope y'all have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.